So what we're basically going to do is look at what we've done during lockdown over the last few months since our last meeting. We're then going to look at what we're doing moving forward. There's a couple of new things that we're looking at. And then, of course, the big thing we want to start up again is our group litter picks, but we also want to look at what the successes have been, like with Wellie Wombles. Freddie's going to tell us a bit about that. Our Tuesday tidy ups and our new partnership with the library. We're also going to look at the committee, what we do, what we don't, and we're also, if anybody's got anything to say, they can say it there as regard their role. Perhaps Judy, if you'd like to tell us how many members we've got at that point, that'd be great. There is a couple of exciting things going on with pennies. We'll tell you all about it there. And C on that is election of new officers. We have Mr. Freddie Harris here, who we are hoping, should everybody vote for him, I can't see why they wouldn't, to elect as our litter picking officer, or other titles may be suitable, who knows. Also looking at partnerships, we currently have a partnership with Glamis Hall for our repair cafe, the Victoria Centre for a lot of the projects we've been doing with One Wellingborough Plus, Wellingborough Library, obviously the allotments, and there's one more that will come to me in a second. I should have written it down. Money is something we're going to talk about in the committee, but we've got some exciting news that we're hopefully going to have a little bit more money come Friday. And then we're looking at future initiatives. Should we wish to carry on with the Community Resilience Forum, i.e. as a group, we can have a look at the time bank food share idea that the Victoria Centre have been talking about. Any other business, basically things like getting things printed on the back of high-vis tops and stuff like that, we can talk about that. And then hopefully we'll get done fairly swiftly, and then we can carry on actually drinking our drinks rather than talking about it. Anybody got any questions about the agenda?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Super. So let's get you all back. Let's look at what we've done.
Sorry, Jonathan, can I just interrupt? I've got a question.
Go on, Em.
On the agenda that was sent through the email, there was something about an Eco Festival.
Yeah, that's something that we are thinking of doing.
Is that still going to be talked about this evening?
Yeah, that's something that could be one of our new initiatives. So,
okay.
Like I say, there's all sorts of things that could have gone on there. I think, like I say, if I put every sort of idea that we've had recently on there, like everybody probably wouldn't have turned up because it has looked about 2 pages rather than 1 page. Shall we sort of quickly run through the successes and the downfalls of what we've been doing over the last few months with One Wellingborough Plus? Simon, would you like to talk to us about the Repair Club Live, seeing as you've been our star repairer for quite a few of them?
You mean we've done a lot of gapping, a lot of repairing?
Well, you've broken my laptop about 3 times, but yeah. What do you think the successes and perhaps shortfalls of that format have been?
Well, successful, I think, in a way that it's allowed us to show people sort of stuff, what things are and how they can be repaired, which will be a bit more difficult, say, with sort of the repair cafes that we've done, say at Glamis Hall, where people just brought stuff in and left it to repair and hope to come back later and find it fixed. And obviously it's a bit cramped there and there's a lot going on, whereas on something like this you can sort of, it's easy to give a bit more of a presentation, and obviously that can be given to lots of people who can see it at once, because if you've got something small, I mean, even like your laptop, if there's someone standing in front of you, you might get 2 more people that can see what you're doing, but that's about it. Whereas this way, you know, at least it's been recorded. Any amount of people can sort of tune in, as it were, and sort of see it and ask questions and whatever. downfalls, I don't know. I don't know if people are less likely to come on to Zoom rather than come down in person, but
yeah,
it's yeah, it's been good fun. But,
we've had a bit of a giggle, haven't we? And
yeah,
actually, I think the
we've got
people
some
that
stuff,
have
yeah.
turned up have really got involved with it.
Yeah, we'll sort some bits out. I mean, I put it this way: I haven't had to load my car. It's been half hour loading up my car with all my tools.
There you go. There you go. So
They're all right here, so I just grab what I need and do it. Whereas
Simon
normally
has sort
come
of
down
basically hosted all of these as well with his Zoom account. So I've taken the
Yeah.
plunge and spent some money this month myself, which is why we've got a different link. But or should I say I've spent some money of the allotments money this month because they've got an AGM. So we're piggybacking on them for this week. Judy, would you like to say anything? You've been to a couple.
The about the repair cafes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a really the best we could do in the circumstances, wasn't it? You know, over this year. I mean, it's good that we had something that we could, you know, some way of getting together. So yeah, I mean, it's sort of filled that gap, hasn't it? Really. But I mean, I think it would be nice to get back to the, you know, the real thing. If you know, if it's sort of well, you know, if and when it's possible, and if Simon doesn't mind loading up all his tools into the car.
No, I don't mind. No,
You ask him nicely.
Loading my car up with various bits is a bit of a routine for various things. If I'm going proper. It's always the weird stuff that's helped me out.
Yeah, well,
like that great big power supply. You know, I think I've saved 2 or 3 battery drills with it, and you just wouldn't think to take a power supply as a repair tool.
Yeah, but I mean, and it's nice the fact that when it's at Glamis, other people kind of get to see it. You know, that wouldn't normally. They kind of people that wouldn't know about it kind of wander past and
yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the Saturday swap shop. I think we've probably had a similar experience, but it's been a bit of a different outcome. Judy, do you got any comments on that?
Well, yeah, again, it was sort of, you know, good to have something to go to and, you know, when we couldn't do it in person. But in a way, that seems to sort of run itself out because the same, or nearly all of the same people come in, and we kind of swapped everything after a few weeks. So it kind of ran out of steam a bit, I felt. And
yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
it might be, you know, might draw more people in if we do that in person in future.
May I make a suggestion for Saturday swap shop?
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, I've only ever been to one, so I don't know how it's happened throughout the rest of the year and what have you. But Judy, I feel what you're saying is potentially right, that it's the same people coming along and swapping as much as they've got and then going, well, we've run out. Would it be worth sort of all of us talking to neighbours or flyering, or I don't know, somehow promoting that it was something in the community that was happening and going on? And also I found, for me, especially now that I'm working full time, when I first came to the Saturday swap shop, I was a lady of leisure because it was marvellous. But now my Saturday mornings are incredibly precious. And sort of giving 2 hours of that time is quite a lot for me at the moment. So perhaps if
That's
it could
why
be...
we're eating dinner on the call.
Yeah.
I was too polite to comment.
We both work now.
But perhaps if we could condense it into a shorter period of time, say an hour or something, it would maybe encourage more people to come. Because 2 hours, when you've only got 48, that really, you know, you've got 2 slots of 8 when you think about it over a weekend.
Yeah,
it's quite a significant amount for full-time workers.
And what about it being on the weekend? Do you think that is a good thing, or not really if you're working?
I think for me personally, evenings or weekends. But I mean, it very much depends on what shifts people are working.
Yeah.
But I would say that most people are working
depends what you do. I work evenings and weekends usually. So
True,
we work
true.
opposite hours as
We
well.
do. But I mean, I would say a majority of people tend to work during the weekdays. Weekends are very useful. I prefer evenings during the week. That's because I really like a Saturday morning lie-in.
Yeah.
The eyes that Liz just gave you was amazing, but there we go.
Oh really? I'll have to watch the video playback.
I would, yeah. That's that. I'm not taking notes. I sit here sort of afterwards and then sort of write the notes from there, because otherwise I just don't talk. How do you think it worked on Zoom though? Because that was a big thing. Who hasn't spoken yet? Who's had a go at the? Julian's disappeared to look after Kitty.
I think because it is done like this, it does make it take longer, because you can't just go up to someone who's got some stuff and talk about it with them and swap it, because obviously we can't all talk at once. And that probably drags it out. You know, the format for that particular sort of thing is probably not the best, unless you've got a lot of time to spend chatting anyway. Because yeah, you just, you know, every transaction's got to be done one at a time in a great big queue.
Yeah.
And if it's stuff that you're not particularly interested in, you know,
you sort of wait around for your turn to
20 minutes, you know, while that's things swapped, and then, you know, carry on to something else which might not be your thing either, you know.
Yeah.
Could we all say hello to Julian's little man? He's being very good and cute.
He was just going crazy a second ago. That's why I had to get him. He tripped over his toy or something.
Doesn't he look cute? I can't believe that's the same kid that I saw about 6 months ago. He looks huge.
Yeah, doesn't do.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Anyway,
With the guy, can I just say something? I'm not been involved in the swap shop at all, but
your wife has.
I know she has. You had some comments about that, didn't you? Would you like to say what they were?
Well, I just think it wasn't a swap.
Well, she thought it was not a swap.
No, that's true.
So I was going to
I
suggest.
just felt that someone should have held something up and say, look, I've got this to swap, I'll swap with you, not hold it up and who wants this. That's what I felt.
Well, one of the things I just crossed my mind listening to what you were saying about time and all that sort of stuff, and only 2 people on. If it had a Facebook page, people could list, say, you know, I've got an X, I'm looking for such and such, and then anybody could look down the list and contact and PM them.
We do
on
have
Facebook.
we
do
do
have a Facebook group. It's got about
Well, that's
400
the way-
members in
that's
it.
Just list it, get everybody to list on that one. Just-
I think
Yeah.
it was just to try and sort of make an event out of it, because, you know, we didn't have things to go to, you know, during this past year, really. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I think the problem with putting it on Facebook is that, I don't know about everyone else, but I get bombarded daily with, you know, you've had a notification from so-and-so and this and that and the other.
Yeah, I haven't touched it in weeks.
I just feel that you can take
You
it to a
just bother
charity
looking at
and they can
everything.
get a bit of money out of it.
Yes, that's also true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
do
there
get
is Freegal and the now less popular Freecycle. So effectively, we're potentially just overlapping with that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other Facebook groups trying to do the same thing as well. So
Yeah.
as there's already like a national organisation, Freegal is the more recent one that was born out of Freecycle, because there was a bit of a split and a row over how they funded themselves, because it's the parent organisation of Freecycle is in America.
Thanks for that,
But-
Simon. Like I said, I didn't
Yeah,
actually ever envisage, and I think like Julian probably was one of the people that was saying that putting it on Zoom to start off with wasn't particularly a great idea, because it wouldn't be too like people wouldn't be able to sort of join in and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, but it's a bit of fun, and I think actually like you came to the seed one, didn't you, Becky?
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think where this can stand out is very much where Freecycle is, you have something, say, a sofa, and you want to give it away, and someone's looking for a sofa, and they say, please, may I have it? Whereas the seed swap, where I know that we want to grow vegetables in pots, don't really know what. And I came to that, and now we've got all sorts of amazing things growing, and it's fantastic. And now we've also got the swap, and it's more community driven than Free Cycle, because it's a group of people coming together with a specific interest. And I think if you do like a seed swap and a toy swap and a book swap, then that's bringing people together with a specific interest to swap things that they're keen on. Whereas Free Cycle is very much, I've got a bag for growing onions, I've got a laptop, I've got a sofa, and you have to look for those things. Whereas if you've got a community specific group, it's come to see us, we can help you out. And that made us feel so welcome. We've only been in Wellingborough for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden we have this wonderful group who we get involved with, and who we're now, involved with now. And we really want to be involved with.
So overall, it was positive, I think, is what we're trying to say for both the Repair Club and the Saturday Swap Shop. It just possibly would work better in person. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And more specific, obviously, with the swap shop.
Speed it up.
Yeah, okay. Well, the other thing that, excluding the Wellie Wombles, because that's something else, but the other thing we've done that's slightly off-piste was the community allotment during lockdown. Obviously, the Wellie Wombles came in a bit later than we started these things up. Like I say, we've really started the working parties over the last few weeks, and like I said to a few of you, you've come up and helped. Everybody's welcome, which is good. How do you think that's sort of done? Like, are people getting engaged? Like, if you compared the Facebook groups, like Swap Shop's got nearly 400 members, the community allotment's got 60. But then if you look at volunteers, I mean, we've probably had more volunteers turn up at the community allotment and really sort of get on and enjoy. I was speaking to John earlier, and he sort of really enjoyed it. And I know who was it? I keep on forgetting her name, but Donna. Yeah, well done. There you go. I'm useless with names, by the way, so that I did quite well. Donna really enjoyed it. Jamie's wife. So it kind of really like gets people out of their shell. Like, I know Donna's very kind of quiet, but she really enjoyed the time she spent with you and John, Trish, and others, because it just sort of was, you're doing the same thing, you're just enjoying sort of the fresh air and working with each other.
Yeah. We really enjoyed it. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of scope there to be had.
And I really enjoyed it. The times that I've been up there, it's been lovely. Yeah.
I agree. It was really nice to do something that wasn't on a screen.
Yeah, that's why I went up.
Julian would agree with it. Well, that's probably why it's been so popular, people volunteering, so that's good. Okay, so that's a winner then. Good. Should we move forward into sort of in-person events and social media? I think I don't know, what's that? Oh, instructions for our new boiler. Crikey, we've got a super duper efficient boiler now. That's exciting for us. Repair Club versus Repair Cafe, bit of both. I know Simon was talking about evolving the Repair Club to sort of have it as an audience event, whereas of course traditionally we've done the Repair Cafe, which I know Freddie's been to a few times, and others of course, Anthony of course. Do you want to explain what you were thinking about, Simon?
Well, what I found with when we've done it at Glamis Hall is people turn up with stuff that you can't really fix there and then because you need bits. I mean, I think I had one occasion someone came with the bits and said, I just need you to fit them. And that was great because, she had this carpet sweeper machine and she bought the bits and we could fit them. Obviously, she just turned up with the carpet sweeper. We wouldn't have been able to do anything with it. And there's been a few that have been like that where we would have needed to have got the bits in advance. So perhaps if it's a bit more, people, we also tend to get a bit inundated sometimes. So I mean, obviously it's hard. Well, you can't really predict how long something's going to take, but maybe if we did get people to sort of submit their requests in advance, and at least we can prepare with the tools. So say I just load the car with literally everything I've got, just in case. And it usually is the silly things that actually come to be used. So
yeah, you and a couple of the other repairs have said the same thing.
Yeah, if we knew in advance what was coming, we'd know what tools we need, and if, you know, if we, you know, I mean, there was somebody with a toaster that had a broken switch. It's like, you know, they know the switch is broken already. So I mean, I remember at the time I looked it up and they said, oh well, that's too expensive. You know, the switch costs what a new toaster would, which was a shame because, you know, that's kind of not the point of repairing stuff. But you know, something like that, they could have let us know that they had this toaster that was broken. We could have ordered the switch and then done it.
Are you proposing doing both though, Simon? Are you proposing sort of having a repair club, which is like an audience-based thing? Because you were talking about having a repair club with like a screen so people could see what you fix in.
Yeah,
and an in-person event.
Once it's sort of a bit more organised, at least sort of people, you know, you can say to someone who turns up, you know, these are the things we're going to look at today. And of course, we know we've got the bits, or, you know, we kind of plan to fix them. So then it's maybe worth, you know, people might feel it's more worth sticking around to look at. And yes, we put it on a large screen. Then, like we've done sort of over Zoom, people can sort of see what you're doing, and sort of more people than the one or two that could crowd in could see what you're doing. So it becomes more of a, you know, like it's been on Zoom, a bit more of a social thing for some people, and, you know, you can actually explain things to people then, because it's easy to point things out, and you know, people can ask what things are.
I personally think, I don't see anybody else with their hands up, that the Repair Cafe is such a popular event. Do you know what I mean? It just completely took off, and
yeah,
like I say, there's such a buzz at the Repair Cafe that, like, we should continue our partnership with Glamis Hall on that, and possibly have the repair club sort of with the Victoria Centre or whoever else wants to put us up, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's having a bit of space really to do it in, so people, we're generally quite crammed up at Glamis Hall.
I am being a bit sneaky or Marion's not here lurking around, as she know. Nope. I'm being a bit sneaky, doing a couple of hours at the Victoria Centre to try and get my feet under the carpet so we can use it a bit more, but there we go.
Yeah, because that's got lots of larger spaces where we can do stuff.
Exactly. But the swap shop too, Becky, for instance, would you turn up to a toy swap shop, or I don't know, a plant swap shop or something like that?
To a plant swap shop, I don't really have any use for toys.
Perhaps you like teddies, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, hang on, if it's dinosaurs, I am there.
I've heard you're quite keen on dinosaur poos on your mantelpiece.
Oh yeah, love dinosaurs. Any dinosaurs there. But yeah, I think it'd be really nice to, I mean, I've met you, Jonathan, but everybody else here I've not met, and it would be really nice to actually physically meet and talk, because there's only so much you can do on a screen.
Yeah.
I think
because
like
Freddie.
sorry,
Liz, this is carrying on.
Sorry,
Go on, Liz, sorry.
What Freddie's wife I think was saying, it would be like much more of a swap if you met in person and actually physically exchange things rather than doing it via someone else via a screen. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because I would say, Judy, I'd say a lot of what we're growing currently comes from you, but we've never met, and I'm so thankful for everything we have. But it would be really nice to meet you in person and say thank you, and also give you something that we've got.
Well, yeah, that would be lovely.
Yes, it would.
I think
glamorous pepper.
I think Freddie's next, Simon. Freddie, would you like to say something?
I was just going to say that on our Breeze Hill allotments, we do have a plant swap. It's obviously got to be timed right for the year, the beginning of the year, early spring, but it is also a social event. So people come down, there's a coffee and tea, nothing big, and then you can take down stuff that you've got. Like we've got tons more tomato plants, which we've tried to give away, but only three have gone. So and maybe there are some things which we would like for our allotment. So you know, it's a social thing, but that's quite specific to plants. Whether that would work with anything else, I haven't got a clue, but certainly that's the plant thing.
Well, I mean, certainly for us, when we first arrived here, like we have been, first of all, living on bicycles and then living on a boat. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves in desperate need of clothing with everywhere shut. So something as simple as a clothes swap would have been fantastic.
I did. I tried and nobody took them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Georgina said she tried, yeah.
I've still got them.
She's still got them if you want some.
Can I put out a suggestion that perhaps instead of having a dedicated organised event, it could be done more as a clothing library and a seed bank, and kind of a store, well, not a physical store, but a bit of an inventory of what people would like to exchange that people can access, not just at that specific time on Zoom or in person.
But isn't that the role that the Facebook page sort of fulfills? You know, people putting those things on the Facebook page.
I'm not actually on the Facebook page because, like Becky said, there are so many Facebook pages.
Yeah, I mean, there is the Wellingborough.org forum that we started where you could do that, because unlike Facebook, it's probably easier to find stuff, because Facebook is very much of what was said 5 minutes ago and what was said 5 hours ago is already expected to disappear. Whereas we do have a forum where you can list stuff, and then it becomes more of a permanent list, and you can search it. Probably, I would have thought.
Okay. I suppose what would be quite nice is, because forums are brilliant, but they do rely on people having the internet, and not everyone has that now. What would be really nice is maybe a once a week meet, and you can swap anything. It could be clothes or toys or food or plants or maybe language, anything. You could just literally, you want to talk to someone, or you want to meet people, or you want to swap a garment for a seed, anything.
We are sort of doing things like that at the Victoria Centre on our litter picking things. Some, like, not today, because I think everybody would have been blown away, but like we have had sort of times at the Victoria Centre where people are bringing this in and taking this, and sort of I'm up and down them stairs. What I'm hoping to do over the next couple of weeks is open it up for a little bit longer, possibly on a different day, with like free teas and coffees for Wombles, for instance, because obviously a lot of people have gone out and borrowed the stuff and probably are quite sort of thirsty after doing some litter picking or whatever. So there's lots of opportunities there. I've sort of gone on to something else on the agenda, but never mind. We're thinking about having that as like an information centre as well for newbies, which might be quite nice, like when you moved here a few weeks ago, Becky and Liz. But that's later on in the agenda. I suppose we better keep on doing what we're doing. I think we've kind of covered community allotment because we're doing it, aren't we? We need to just carry on, and we're hoping, like tomorrow morning, believe it or not, because I've just booked myself in the Victoria Centre in the afternoon to move a room around, so it's ready for hiring. I'm probably down I am down at the community allotment for 6 o'clock, Liz. I know you like an early morning, but
I get up at 5. She has no excuse to not be there.
Hey, well done, Liz. So you can drop her off on the back of your pop. Now you've passed your test.
There we go.
Anybody else want to come down the community? Huh?
I'll stop her at 1 beer.
She's shaking her head, bless her. I'll be there till 10 if you'd like to join me, basically.
Okay.
Tony from the allotment. Tony from the allotment, by the way, Liz has actually done a bit more digging down there today, which is quite nice of him. So, absolute hero.
From the allotment,
he's got another plot on the allotment, so he's actually gone down from his plot, and he started digging a bit on, when were we there? Saturday, wasn't it? And he's gone down and carried on the bit that he was doing all by himself. So it's like, wow, okay. So we'll all be getting keys soon. is there anything else we can do to improve the offer of the community allotment? Like, all joking aside, if somebody's quite keen and doesn't particularly do sort of social media, I'm looking at you in the middle of the screen, Anthony. There's no reason why you couldn't sort of get given a key and then sort of help yourself and do sort of just a little bit or whatever, sort of, if you wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
We could have some sort of plant exchange or something down at the allotment, couldn't we? You know, arrange it for a particular time, you know, day.
Yeah, we could. Yeah,
fairly soon. Perhaps, you know.
Got to be soon. If you're going to do it this year, it's got to be very soon.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, we could have some sort of thing like a swap shop, plant swap shop.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have
the allotment, or yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's at the allotment, it wouldn't necessarily have to even just be plants, would it? I mean, it could be other things as well, or things that I was just thinking, like at the swap shop, I got that butternut squash, and I've made a load of chutney, and I thought, well, I could bring some of that down, you know, and things like that, you know.
Sounds like a good day, yeah. I say we can do an awful lot at the community allotment. I was thinking, like, the next one on the list there is Wellie Acorns. Like, we could do a kids' day at the allotment, which would be nice, with their acorns. And we've still got 50 oak trees to plant down there. So if anybody wants an oak tree to put somewhere, even a few oak trees, just to sort of nurse over for a few months, come and grab some.
I could put one in place of my apple that's going to come down.
There you go. So I'll bring one up to see you on Friday then.
Is the oak tree in a pot?
No, it's a bare root thing, so it needs to go in the ground sort of soonish. It's been sat in a bucket for about a week and a half. So
But we can take one in about 6 months' time.
This will need a temporary pot for me. I've still got to cut the thing down.
I've still got a few pots. A few of my pots were nicked by a couple of young ladies sitting sort of on the bottom right hand corner there, but
They weren't nicked, they were hastily borrowed.
You're more than welcome to.
I think my dad said he had some pots. He asked me the other day, did you still want pots? And I couldn't remember what I'd asked him for. It was from the swap shop.
Well, another thing that
I've got them, so I'm keen to unload him of his junk, because he's got
another
loads.
thing that somebody mentioned, different type of pots were plant. Get me teeth in. Paint pots, like used paint pots, half paint pots, using one of the sheds at the community allotment to act as a paint store, so that we could do a paint exchange. I think that was Sophie, wasn't it, who's moving, I think, tonight. So do you think that's a good idea, having a shed with paint in it that people can swap jars of paint?
What? How does paint do with temperature?
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
And how much are you going to take down there? Because I mean, half a tin of something probably ain't going to be no use to anyone, is it? That's the shame.
Depends what you're doing with it. If you're doing crafting with it, or sort of furniture or whatever, it'd be.
I'm not saying it's completely useless, but I would have thought you'd finish up with a lot of stuff that's never going to move. That's my.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've got half a large tin of white wall paint off my neighbour, because they've been decorating. They've been buying the sort of the big, like 7.5, 10 litre, whatever they are, big tubs of wall, what's it called, emulsion paint. And they've given me what they had left, which I've, because it's white's white, so it'll be fine. But
you can add half a pot of Freddie's paint that he's got left, and you've got a lovely colour.
Well, yeah,
just a thought. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be.
I mean, it varies, because you could get decent amounts. Half a pot left over from someone decorating their house could be a fairly decent amount that would be nice to not have thrown away. Or you could get sort of smaller quantities that somebody might find useful, but might be more difficult to ship if there's not enough of it.
I know, like, I've probably got 20 pots of old paint sitting in my garage that anybody can have, but I've never sort of really thought, oh, I must take them down the tip, because I just don't want to. I don't like chucking things away.
I actually did have to buy a tiny pot of paint the other day, and it annoyed me. I should have gone to you.
You should have gone to me, Julian. Yeah, you should have come in my garage and gone.
I needed like the smallest amount of paint and the smallest pot I could buy for bloody B&Q or whatever was still cost me like eight or 9 quid. So anyway.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? And some people don't want to spend 8 or 9 quid, or can't spend 8 or 9 quid on a pot of paint when they're struggling to feed themselves.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I mean, I can see both sides of the argument. You could end up with a shed full of paint, which no one's using, or you could really help people out. If you've got a garage full of paint, what's stopping things that are existing like recycle being utilised?
because I haven't got round to it, to be honest with you. But yeah, there is that point, isn't there?
It's a really awkward thing to use, so I totally get that. And it would make sense to potentially have a shed full of paint, and then just every now and then put on places like Recycle, Gumtree, Facebook, saying we have this paint, come and have a look.
It's the sort of thing you probably want to keep the inventory of, so it's fairly easy to sort of list it and to make sure that people know what you've got, and then to ease the turning over of it, rather than well, if you can be bothered to come and look through this random shed of paint that we don't really know what's in there, see if there's anything you fancy. Whereas if we have a list, then that might make it.
But we still need to store it somewhere, and I don't think my garage is probably the right place because it's got enough junk in it.
During the summer, I suppose would be all right. I'm just thinking the winter paint goes a bit off, doesn't it? It's frozen.
Don't know.
Isn't that the advantage of sort of just putting things like that on Freecycle or Gumtree or whatever, in that you don't have to have a separate place to store it. You just keep it till it's claimed.
Because the thing about all what we're talking about this paint is that somebody's got to organise it, catalogue it, keep it up to date, etc.
It's
a really good idea, but it sounds too complicated to work properly, unfortunately, I think.
But there is one of our partnership things later. I'm going to sort of talk about something. I've remembered what it is now. I've only just sent an email about it, about having a reuse shop with one of our partners, which this could tie in with. Shall I save that little thing till later, just to keep everybody hooked? But did we talk about Wellie Acorns and activities? Does anybody get any ideas apart from giving them acorns and packets of sunflower seeds? And by the way, I gave away 9 today at the Victoria Centre. Do we have any sort of other suggestions that we could do with little people? And Julian, you're more than welcome to an acorn and some sunflower seeds for your little man.
What does he do with them?
Plants the acorn, and then when it gets big enough, you put it somewhere, and then he'll
choke on the acorn, but the sunflower seeds you could probably just scatter about the ground, I guess.
You're supposed to grow an oak tree, man, and then name it after your kid.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, if you gave him an acorn now, all he'd do is put it straight in his mouth, wouldn't he?
I wouldn't recommend these ones for eating. I wouldn't recommend any of them, but these are a bit manky. They look like they've been on a forest floor for about a month or 2.
Okay.
But
we are looking to plant some more trees in the garden, but not oak trees. I think they might be a bit too big.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. You probably wouldn't be around to see it mature anyway.
Exactly.
Could you not just go to Croyland Park and do some dodgy digging and just like?
When I first joined the eco group, Jonathan and I did a bit of this, but unfortunately, we haven't done it again. I'd be well. I think that tree we did plant is. I don't think it survived anyway. Did it? I don't know.
No, we've planted 2 trees and then we got locked down. The first one's still there on the Queensway. I think that's a sycamore. The second one, which may have been an oak, got sort of strimmed within an inch of its life within minutes of it going in, I think. So it's a bit of a shame, but there we go.
Going forward, I'm more than happy to join in the clandestine sort of. I think what we need is something faster growing though, like pines or something that'll shoot up.
Yeah, you want to come over Higham and give that Christmas tree some company.
What Christmas tree is that, Simon? Have we missed a?
If you go down I think it's Wellingborough Road, as you're coming up to sort of the old A6 road going through Higham.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a green there because you've got the main road, and then there's a housing estate with a sort of a road that runs parallel to the main road. So there's just a bit of sort of grass. It's nothing
by the garage, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like an official path or anything. It's just a little bit of a large public lawn kind of thing. And I think not long after I moved in here, someone stuck a a Christmas tree. I thought, oh, and now it's.
Yeah, I've got one of those in my garden. It's about 40 foot tall.
Yeah, I've got 4 in my garden, bunched together into what was supposed to be one tree that I think came out of a pot as a Christmas tree. I haven't had the heart to cut it down yet.
We're all up for planting trees then, as long as they're not Christmas trees. We do have 5 of those at the allotment, by the way, if anybody wants a Christmas tree.
Not after those stories.
How big are these Christmas trees? I'm being asked.
Well, the allotment, they're not much bigger than when we got them. So they're probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot tall, depending on which one it is. But like I say, they can stay there until Christmas. And if they're good enough, I'll shove them your way, Freddie. Or one of them, obviously. That's what they're for.
Not my way, Georgina's way, actually.
Okay.
One of those little silver things you just plug in.
Very classy.
They do have their advantages.
Right. I don't know what to say now. The next thing on the agenda is where are we? Litter picking. It hasn't really come out too well. And to give your ears a bit of a rest from my voice, I'd like to invite Freddie to just have a couple of words about the magnificent Wellie Wombles.
Okay, thanks very much. First, I don't know anybody apart from Judy, I think. Well, and Tricia, but only as she whizzes past on her bike occasionally. But Georgina and I, we're keen walkers and dancers. We grow most of our own vegetables and we keep bees. I'm a very poor ukulele player and an even poorer amateur artist. And I've been a long-standing member of the U3A as well. So that's me, really. But the Wombles started really because of COVID. Because obviously we're all walking more. And we very often used to walk along the Waterworks lane down to the Co-op to get our shopping. And obviously, as you're walking, instead of whizzing about in your car, you just notice just what appalling mess it was. And 18 bags later, we still haven't actually finished doing 30 bags altogether, I'm being told. So, but obviously, I thought I'd just start a Facebook page. It obviously took off. Lots of lovely people out there who thought the same. Actually, it just needed someone to say the word, and everybody was out there. I didn't actually do anything. They just, apart from form a Facebook page, that was all. And since then, of course, it's not my doing, but I mean, it is spread all over the world now, and certainly over the country. Find of Womblers, Burt Womblers, Northampton crowd are absolutely massive. I think we're up to 503 bags in Wellingborough alone this month.
Yeah.
Last month, I beg your pardon, not this month.
So, 46 this month.
46 this month. I'm being corrected by my accountant. So there's 399 members in, which is, I'm sure you can see if you look on the Facebook. Most of those are just interested parties. A few people like to join to tell us about themselves, to say, I'm happy to be writing a book at the moment about so. But generally speaking, most people are just interested in what's going on. We did do an audit on actual pickers a few months ago now, when the numbers were down, I think, below 300, and we thought there was about 50 plus of actual pickers. But I think probably by now it has gone up a little bit because the membership itself has gone up for more.
Yeah.
So that's that bit. The general ethos is that it's a light touch organisation. I don't want to get into organising things, or it's down to individuals do what they want, when they want, and how they can do it best. That's really all I want to do. But it's all under the umbrella of the Eco Group, of course, with Johnson's contacts with Norse, with the bag pickers, etc., etc. So that's great, and it's also good points to pick up supplies as well as the library, which I don't know how that's doing, Jonathan, with a number of people going in there. But for myself, I mean, all I'm really doing is offering guidance to people. New members who come on, I usually send them a bit of blurb about some advice how to get going and stuff like that. And other people write to me about it and send me pictures, and I write to various people, organisations, schools, and that sort of thing. I've written to every school in the town, for instance. So quite a number of outlets such as McDonald's, etc. And then almost, with the exception of one who absolutely lambasted me because it wasn't them, it was next door. And that's quite an important point, actually. But that people do want me to write letters. They do have to say accurate information. But I mean, generally speaking, the reception when we've written to people as Wellie Wombles is that they've said thank you very much, etc., etc.,
I've got
etc.
one company on board.
Sorry?
One company on
Yeah,
board.
we got one really good company on board, and that was Suzanne Logistics. I assume that's Japanese. When I approached them, they've been absolutely fabulous. They have a rota of lit pickers go out sorting things out every once a month, I think, something like that. Really marvellous. So that's really that. So I don't do a great deal to that, except, as I say, write the odd letter, offer advice and stuff like that. So I would like to keep it at that light touch, people doing what they can when they can, and stuff like that. I'm going to do all that in a minute. So looking ahead, I think we badly need to talk to Norse, Jonathan, because there are lots of problems we need to sort out in advance. I mean, for instance, one of the big hue and cry I've had this year is the bloody lawnmowers. The mowers have been going around and chopping up all this stuff which we could have picked up and is now impossible to pick up. Yeah. So it's that type of information to say, right, we're going to start cutting whatever, next month or something like that, and we're going to be doing these areas, and then we could get together and probably clear them first. So that would be one thing. Then there are other stuff which is really bugging me at the minute, and I can't get any sense on. That's all the amount of abandoned roadworks, ironworks around on our verges, sandbags, cones. They're all over. But once you start noticing, they are everywhere, and they all come under Norse's borough. Some of them come under highways, but most of them come under the borough's responsibility. So they're all that sort of thing that we really need to sit down with Norse and hammer out once and for all, I think. Yeah. And if we did get a meeting,
can I just interject? Can I just interject on that point? I've actually spoken to Norse about this, and as a rule, they won't pick them up because they are somebody's property, and they say they've got to leave them there for about a year, just in case they come back and claim them. Yeah, it's ridiculous. No, it's ridiculous. That's why they're still there.
Some of those have been there almost since we moved here, I think.
I tell you what,
there's been a diversion sign at the bottom of Neo Way pointing up, and another one at the top of Neo Way pointing down. But I don't know how long.
Perhaps anyway, we need to do some wobbling to them.
If they're cones, I'm happy to go around and get them. But the thing is, what do you do with them afterwards?
Well, they should be refurbished and reused again. That is costing us money. Lots.
No, exactly. But what I'm saying is, I'm happy to go around and collect them. But then, what do you do? I mean, we can dump them on the council doorstep or whatever, or highways.
No, there'll be an organised. There will be. Well, to start with, we need to find out who is responsible for putting them there. That's the first thing. So, is it the contractors? Is it the council? Whoever it is. So they're the people who want them back, and so they can reuse them. Because it's an absolute travesty that we're wasting all these resources of steel, bags, cones, God knows what else.
Cones are 40 quid.
These cones apparently cost 40 quid a time, which is incredible. So there are definitely things that we need to sort out, and we can only really sort them out face to face. I think that's what I think. Anyway.
I totally agree. Sorry, Freddie. Can I backtrack slightly, just a little tiny bit there? The grass cutting thing, Jonathan, yes. Do you know, do they just cut the grass without actually, because I know they do litter collection as well, do they literally just cut the grass without actually cleaning the area first?
Yes. Of course they
Every
do.
time,
of course
this is a company, the council's paying to do a job, and the council's paying them to do a job, and they're just they're literally mowing over the litter that they are also obliged to pick up.
I think the areas that Freddie's talking about, the areas that Freddie's talking about are the areas that they mow perhaps twice a year. So like the parks and stuff, yeah, they do run over litter there, but we're talking about sort of some of the housing estates, the banks and things that rarely get sort of a mow. So obviously when they sort of get a mower to them, they just bash them, and whatever's there gets it basically. So
well, one of the problems is, of course, is they're contractors. If you say to contractors, cut the grass, that's what they do.
No, I agree with you, but this is the thing, is that because they're contractors and they're paid to obviously do a job of cleaning and also maintenance, this is something where I believe that, you know, council need to say, well, they're not doing the right job, maybe.
This is my whole point, why we've got to speak to Norse. So
yeah.
Norse should be these people are contracted to Norse, and Norse should be controlling them and letting people like us know that next month they're going to do this park or that park or some other park, so that we can think about clearing them if they don't.
But they should be actually doing it themselves if they're contracted.
They should really be doing it themselves. That would be the proper thing to do, is that they should apply their resources. Yeah, they should be doing that first. That's right. Can I just carry on talking about the Wombles before we get sidetracked too far?
Go on, that's my fault. I interrupted.
No, that's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. So looking ahead, I see there's a comment on the list about groups of Wombles working together. And I personally got no objection to that. You've got a little bit down there about group picks, I think, for Womblers.
That's our 2 hour tidy up. That's just under the general heading.
No, there was another bit there about Womblers doing picking in groups, small groups, somewhere down the list, which I don't have. But anyway, my point being, I've got no objection whatsoever to Womblers getting together to saying, shall we do Shelley Road or wherever they want to do. But when it comes to major big picks, then it's definitely got to be the home of Wellingborough Eco, I think. Because otherwise it means getting into organising people, where they're going to meet and what they're going to do and so on and so forth. And I just don't want to go there. But if people want to sort them out themselves to do, you know, 2 or 3 people say, let's meet there, then that's also fine.
Yeah, people do, don't they? Like John and Tricia.
They do, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's better to pick in twos. And we obviously advise people to pick in twos anyway for safety reasons. I think that we should definitely have a social gathering. Not very often, but we definitely should have a social gathering. Probably Victoria Centre, coffee, tea. People put faces to names, and we can sort of establish a bit more of a community, really. And that's about all I've got to say, really, except onwards and upwards.
Well done, Freddie. I think you're being a bit too modest on your role in that, because, like I say, you've certainly given it a good kick up the rear end and really sort of got it going.
I've only been doing what I've been told, actually. It's Georgina's idea, really.
I believe that.
You tell me what to say, and I say it. I often get into trouble, though.
Becky, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'd like to first of all congratulate Freddie and Georgina, because I think the Wellie Wombles are absolutely awesome. As a newbie to Wellingborough, and sort of quite surprised at council tax cost, I'd like to know why it is that it's down to local volunteers to do this role, as opposed to the councils to do what we are paying them to do. I am more than happy to go out and womble, but I do feel that paying for a service that isn't being delivered.
From my perspective, as a lay person, their rates are extremely low. And one time they were the lowest in the country, I think. And you can't have the service if you don't pay the money. And that's really what it's all about.
Can we just say hello to Suzanne first, who's made it from her sister's 40th birthday?
I realise I've probably missed loads, haven't I?
You have a bit, but you've missed Freddie's big speech about the Wombles. That was really impressive.
Oh, okay.
But we are taping it.
For something, Jonathan.
Who said what?
Hasn't she volunteered for something?
Well, she wasn't here, you mean?
Yeah, we've already elected the officers. We're not going to tell you what yours is until the end.
Oh God. My
So yeah, the
punishment.
problem there is outsourcing is that the council like to say, oh, we're the lowest rateable thing, but of course it means they haven't got the money to spend. You know, it's as simple as that.
It's simple.
And it's contracted out, and then I think personally, as soon as you go to contractors, you know, profit comes in and performance goes out.
It's very simply put as political choices, Freddie. I think probably people will do that. The party that has won the most council seats for the last 10 years has every time said, we won't raise any, we won't charge you any more taxes. We're going to sort of cut everything.
Yeah.
And people have gone, well, actually, I'd rather keep my money rather than have decent services. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but that's what the majority feel.
And it's the low life that litter in the first place.
Can I just say, sorry, just quickly back up what you were saying there, Becky and Liz, there, that I do agree. I haven't been here for that long, and I do agree, compared to North London where I was before, the council tax here is high, and we do need to start to hold Norse a bit more accountable, I think, or the council more accountable of what they're paying Norse to do. Exactly what I mentioned before about, you know, if they're not picking an area but they're mowing the lawn and just cutting the litter up, that's not really acceptable. But you know, this is something which I would like to be more involved in, but obviously because of the pandemic and having just moved here, I don't have any contacts or know anyone to sort of facilitate that. So hopefully that will happen in the future.
As our business secretary, we hope you carry on doing that. And,
I've done nothing.
I'm sure me and you will meet in the pub.
Anything.
Yeah, sure, me and you will meet in the pub and facilitate that fairly soon.
I was going to say, yeah, I think what we need to do is have a couple of pints and just have a quick discussion about who I need to email.
And obviously, that is a free meeting up to 6 people, of course, or however many we're allowed at the moment.
I'll explain a tiny bit of history, because I mean, with Marion, with another project, we did a lot of clearing up of alleys, and it was apparent that there were some people in streets that were just dumping in their alleys, literally anything and everything that would go in the bin, and other people that were having to suffer that. And when Marion tried to follow up with people like North or the council about, you know, telling people not to do it, it emerged, the council said, well, we've outsourced enforcement to North. North said, well, we're not being paid very much to do that job.
No, that's right.
There's one person doing that job, but that's not their only job. So basically, you get left with talk to them all the time with this sort of stuff. And
no, you're absolutely right.
And it you know, so how you actually get anywhere, I don't know. It's just outsourcing it is a really bad idea, because the council
makes political choices.
North go, well, you're not our customer, the council is, and they're the ones that are paying us, and this is what they've told us, and you just get ping-ponged.
But that's exactly why they've done it like that, mate. So you're voting for people that are faceless, that have no responsibility because they've given it all away.
Yeah, that's why I gave up, because having spent a Saturday clearing the alley and then going back again on 2 consecutive Fridays to take more rubbish away with Marion, just me and her, I give up. What's the point?
I agree with you, Simon. There, this is the thing that infuriates me. If I can quickly tell a very quick thing that happened to me the other day. On Friday evening, I saw some people with a bonfire in Croyland Gardens, having a party there. My wife and I called, the non-emergency number to say, you know, there's some people there who are basically just having a party, drinking things, whatever. The police said it wasn't their priority. The police, you know, it's not their priority. They then said to call the fire brigade because it was a fire. The fire brigade said, how big is the fire? Because if it's not very big, we won't care about it. The fire brigade did turn up eventually. They put this fire out, but then they let everyone continue on. So the next morning I went down there and I took some pictures. There was they've pulled up a park bench. So during their party that they were having there, they pulled up a park bench, which is strewed across there. They burned a huge log. There was litter strewn everywhere. Obviously the next day, Norse cleaned it up more or less. But then I went there this afternoon and there was still more litter there again. And this is the thing, it just perpetuates. The police don't want to enforce littering. Norse don't want to enforce littering. The council pay Norse, but they don't care.
I don't think the police have the power. The same as the police can't fine you for parking the wrong place because the council does that. It's the same with everything. they've broken it up into so many small things.
Yeah.
When you go to a logical person and go, "There's a problem there," they go, "Not our problem."
So I hope this is a solvable problem, but I am a little bit disillusioned right now in terms of like, you know, growing up in Australia, if you did this sort of thing, like if I started a fire in my local park and was littering everywhere, I would have gotten probably arrested for it, to be perfectly honest. Here, it seems like you can just do whatever you want, and the Norse will eventually come and clean some of it up.
Yeah.
Becky's being very polite again with her hand up.
I was going to say, Julian, because we cycled through Australia, and what we really appreciate in Australia is that you pick up a can off the side of the road, and that can is worth 10 cents.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they need to have a recycling thing here for that as well. I agree. Yeah.
We made $300 cycling across Australia and picking cans up off the road.
Wow.
Now, that is a massive incentive for people, and I know that as grassroots, perhaps here we can't encourage Coca-Cola and whoever in the UK to put a 10 cents or 10 pence charge on their aluminium. But it does seem really unfair that we are paying a council tax service, the council aren't doing the job, and we're then picking up the pieces. It just seems this vicious circle, and regardless of whether it's a low council tax or not, we're still paying it, and then we're still going and doing the job, and the people that are littering are still littering and just going, oh well, those happy little people in high vis, well, we're giving them something to do.
I agree.
That's why I stopped. That's why I stopped, because
Simon, I agree with you as well. Yeah,
you're dumping out outside your back garden. It's because you know someone's going to come and pick it up. You know, 2 weeks after someone's already cleaned it up for you.
I think can we kind of I think we might agree to disagree on this one, because I think people. Yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of going out of their way to tidy up their areas with the Wellie Wombles, and obviously we're planning to restart our 2-hour tidy up group picks, and things are improving. So there are positives. I totally get what you're trying to say, Simon.
Going back to the same area, sort of
there are some people that are just perpetual pigs, but like I say, I think the perpetual pigs of this world will eventually sort of, I don't know, it will be socially sort of unacceptable, a bit like smoking on a bus. You know what I mean?
I hope so. Look, I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt, Jonathan. I do agree with you. There's huge amounts of positives that come out of the Wellie Wombles and all this. There are massive positives. But I'm just saying, hopefully hopefully when we can all meet and after the pandemic's done, we can sort of maybe form an action plan to sort of try to hold some people more a bit accountable to this.
Well,
at the moment, when I've talked to, you'll know better than I will actually, John. When I've talked to Norse, I mean, when it comes to enforcement, I've even sent in a receipt with all the photographs, because somebody had chucked the whole remains of a meal out of a window with a receipt, and said to Dean, you know, have you managed to follow this up? And he said, I will. I said, who's the enforcement? He said, it's me, and I will when I get round to it, which implies never.
Yeah.
But Dean, so talking about that, Dean was celebrating the other day with me. I've got some really good news he's going. We've successfully prosecuted somebody for fly tipping in Wellingborough. I've forgotten where he said, but they fly tipped 2 years ago, and it's taken them 2 years to get it through the court. This one case. So it's an almighty uphill task to get these things through.
I'm not knocking Dean. I'm just saying he is the person who's doing it. So really, there should be a team of people doing
probably the person I referred to, who half of his job is to do that, and half of it is to do something else, because he's not fully funded to do that full time. And that's the problem.
That is great news, Jonathan. What do you know what the fine was?
Oh, it was, I don't know. I think it was a couple of £1,000 or something.
Oh, that's great.
£1,500.
Okay, that's great.
How many, sorry?
I think it was £1,500, Jonathan.
Yeah, it was about that sort of figure.
Because
he was going to tell us. Yeah, he's told you as well as he.
No, it was on Facebook.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh,
I did ask him to put it on Facebook. I didn't see it.
I hope it's discouraging people.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's what we need more of. Do you know what I mean? As somebody who used to run a gardening company, I quite often used to get random people come up to me and say, well, if you've got any rubbish, I can chuck it down the railway line for you rather than you paying anybody for it. And it's just like, mate, you know what I mean? I mean, when people are coming up to do things like that for you, just random people, you're kind of like hitting your head against a wall. But the good news is that hopefully after tonight, we're going to elect Freddie as our litter picking officer, and that he can work with Julian, who's our business secretary. He's sort of writing to a lot of these people on our behalf to kind of get action to happen. Anywho, moving on with the agenda, because there's quite a bit to get through. There's not, but do you know what I mean? It looks like there is if you look at the list. We have been doing Tuesday tidy ups at the Victoria Centre to facilitate the Wellie Wombles and whoever else wants to do some litter picking, but mainly the Wellie Wombles. And that's been a roaring success since February when Freddie started the Wombles. We give away anything between 80 and 150 bags every Tuesday. So if you can imagine, like on average 120 bags every week getting filled up with litter in Wellingborough, that's just an amazing amount. I had a chat with Phil Miles earlier, Freddie.
Phil and Jessica,
and they reckon they're up to 196 bags just there. They're amazing.
They're now going to need therapy soon, I think.
Well, I think that is their therapy, to be fair. But yeah, 196 bags in 3 months or whatever it's been. It's
just married to join them.
Well, yeah. Anyway, there we go. And as Freddie said earlier, we've also recently recruited the library as a further collection point. And talking about the Mileses, they cleaned them out of bags on Friday by collecting a further 20 bags from them because they missed me on Tuesday.
Oh, wow. So it's doing its job then. That's great.
Doing its job, yeah. I have got to deliver some more bags to them. So I don't know how I got that job, but there we go. Apparently they can't get any from the depot. So,
and we've, I think we've handed 30 from the house.
Yeah. So that's an incredible amount of bags, if you can imagine that if Freddie's knocking out, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 a week, the library are looking at, I don't know, 20 plus, 30, 40, whatever it is, and we're doing over 100 a week. There is a point to all of this. So that's going to continue. The Tuesday tidy ups of the Victoria Centre might change to a Wednesday. And I'm thinking about calling them Wellie Wednesdays, because we like to call everything Wellie at the moment. So we can have our Wellie Acorns and our Wellie Wombles on our Wellie Wednesdays. And the advantage of that is that I can sit in the centre because I might have some keys for a little bit longer, because there are a few people that like to collect their bags after hours, and that's good. Any comments on any of our litter picking activities that we have been doing before we move on to our group litter picks? I think we've debated it already. Suzanne, you've been very quiet. I know you like to listen, but...
No, I'm all good, thank you.
You're all good, okay, well, we know. So moving on to the next point, which is 2 hour tidy ups, our group litter picks. We're allowed to do these, I think, from the 17th of May. I know other groups, like the guys in Glen Eagles, have been doing them. They've been doing them in a slightly different way. We've chosen not to do it because we've been warned about 3 or 4 times not to do it by different organisations. And we tend to do it slightly differently by having like a recycling centre where everybody meets, and sort of it's a bit more of a social event possibly, rather than a Wombles event, which we can do from the Victoria Centre. The decision is obviously, I think the 17th is probably a Monday, just so we miss out the weekend.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so we could do the following weekend, or we could restart on the weekend after that, which would be our usual slot, which is the last Saturday of the month for our 2 hours. And if we agree a day, where do we want to go? And I've got other news for you later, which might mean we choose that location. I could spoil it now, I suppose, but it is under the money header. Any ideas? Somebody said something about Croyland Gardens earlier, which would fit in with what I'm thinking about.
Ah, I know what you're thinking about.
Do you, Suzanne? How do you know?
Anyway, yeah.
Were you staring into my eyes, sort of reading my brain?
No. Something I know that's going on, I think, around that day.
Do you? Go on, now you tell me, because I don't honestly have the foggiest idea what you're saying.
Isn't it? I mean, I haven't wrote the dates down, but I printed it off last week for work. Isn't it the Great British Spring Clean around that time?
that is coming up, and we did plan last year to have our Great British Spring Clean, which got cancelled. And then we actually did go to Croyland Gardens for the Great British Autumn Clean. And that was really well supported. I'll tell you the news now is that between me, Judy and Simon, I think it's me and Simon now, we're hoping to collect a rather large cheque from the ex-friends of Croyland Gardens to pay for things like litter pickers and high vis and all the rest of it. It's about £2,500. So we're going to have a few pennies.
Did we? That reminds me, we didn't get anything from the co-op. We were very optimistic about getting some money from the co-op, and in fact, it's just occurred to me that we never have. It might be because it's the co-op. I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Sorry, Morrison's did historically. I mean, it was well over a year ago. Well, not well over, just over a year ago. They did agree to support us as well when I spoke to them, but this is a long time ago. So I don't know. Well, I can speak to them again, but
you could do.
Yeah,
or
it's a community champion.
Yeah, they're community champions. That's the person you need to speak to at Morrison's.
Sky Somerton, the community champion. You know I work at Morrison's, don't you, as well? It's a bit of a thing to say.
You're the bloke they talk about.
Huh? Yeah, thanks for that, Freddie. I knew that'd be. She has actually spent some time at our community allotment. I think John and Trish met her, and
wow, wonderful.
Yeah, and she's also done some wombling as well. She's been out, I think, 1 or 2 times now for the wombles.
Yeah, I think she has. That's right. I do think she has. Yeah.
So she definitely supports us. So again, that could be another reason to pick sort of the Croyland Gardens, because of course that's in their backyard, isn't it? And I know from personal experience around there, it's awful.
Do they have a trolley plan this time?
I don't know, mate. I thought you were going to find that out for us. I thought that was your mission.
This is what I'm saying. This is a year ago. You're the one who works there now. But I did notice today there was two trolleys in the stream there. So I don't know, like what I'd propose to them. I mean, you know, I hate putting a pound in trolleys, but just something to stop them being run off with, you know.
Yeah. Well, obviously somebody's nicking the pounds out and chucking them in the brook, don't they?
Well, no, most of the trolleys in Morrison's you don't need any coins. And the thing is, look, I agree that, you know, especially with COVID, I don't carry cash. I hate the idea of having to put in a coin. I wish we lived in a society where you could trust that trolleys don't end up in a bloody crook in a creek somewhere. But I saw 2 today in the down there. So
I know there have been other suggestions for areas to litter pick. One of the sorry, just moving on there, Julian. I totally agree with you, but there have been other sort of suggestions for litter picking areas, but some are on private land, and we've been told by Norse not to do private land, like behind the back of Halfords and that.
Queensway?
Who said Queensway?
I just mentioned Queensway. Sort of,
I think that was one that Freddie suggested at some stage as well. Yeah. I
mean, there's a huge amount of litter there. And a Saturday session sometimes will be really good. Yeah.
Well, we do this once a month, if not more. Probably once a month is enough to sort of maintain the sort of level of support that we get at these things. I'd say it's not my choice. It's certainly sort of not any one person's choices. It's the people that go out litter picking.
Just to clarify, this will be the first one after. This will be after the 17th. This will be the freedom one.
This will be the freedom one where we're actually allowed to meet in groups of up to 30 outside, which I think if we get 30 people, that would be pretty amazing. And we may well do. You just don't know, do you?
And we can actually have a beer afterwards as well.
As they're giving us some money.
It sounds like Croyland Gardens would be a good one to do first.
Yeah.
And then some of the other ones.
Did you say yes, Freddie?
Yeah, it sounds as good as any. I mean, there are plenty of other places, but I think Croydon's is a good one. It's in the centre of the town. They're giving us some money, so really that's what we want to go, really.
I'd say so. And then myself and Simon on Friday, if it's been a bit of a mission getting this check off them, but we can actually say to them we're doing this at the end of the month, and that'd be a nice thing to sort of give back to them, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So
You've got to
everybody's
arrange
happy.
on a, you've got to
Judy.
set on a date now, haven't you?
Well, Judy, go on. Sorry, I'll
I
answer
was
that.
just going to say, you did mention sort of spending the money on some litter picking stuff. Is there any sort of obligation to spend the Croydon money on things that are, you know, to do with what their aims were? I mean, is it more to do with gardening? I kind of thought that the Croydon Gardens was perhaps expecting us to buy, I don't know, things for the allotment or gardening stuff, or doesn't it matter?
No, there's not like the One Wellingborough Plus money that we've had that I had to write an action plan for, and it's all been costed for, and we have to spend it on this, that and the other, which is mainly to do with the community allotment. But as the people that have been down there, I try not to spend any money on anything, because if we can get it old and reused and bits and pieces and still make it look fantastic, I think that's more eco and better, basically. So yeah, I can't go around spending the money that we've had sort of supporting or propping up One Wellingborough Plus. But no, this is in answer to your question is that the reason why they're giving it to us, and they're actually giving us twice as much as they said they were originally, is because our group has an ethos that fits in perfectly with their ethos, and which is a really lovely thing, I think.
Sorry, Jonathan, you said ex friends. What happened?
Well, they all fell out. No, they didn't. No, they folded, basically. I don't know why, because they're now actually spending some money on the gardens, doing them up. So it does seem a bit of a strange, sorry state of affairs. But the problem with a lot of groups is, and I know the Swanspool one have a very similar thing. I've been invited onto their committee or whatever a few times. They struggle to sort of get people to join in, so it ends up being one or two people.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be a volunteer there. I think they lost their leader. I used to volunteer every Saturday.
Well, that's it. And like I say, you've probably moved on to Glamis with Lizz.
Yes.
But like I say, that we're very lucky to have sort of the people that we've got. I can't even count how many people we've got. Sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got like several people on our committee. I think most groups would absolutely sort of love having sort of that amount of people sort of sharing the responsibility and looking to be actively involved with stuff. So well done us. But yeah, obviously we want to sort of support. We're doing stuff in parks. I don't think it matters if it's Croyland or not. They're just happy for us to carry on sort of doing what we're doing. Does anybody have any questions on that? Because we've gone a bit sort of away from the agenda, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so we've set a date, Freddie. What is the last Saturday of the month? You got your diary out there?
No, this is just a notebook, mate. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
29th of May.
We're not doing anything on the. Oh, she's got her headphones on.
That means you can do it. She said yes.
My wedding anniversary is coming up around there. I think I'll get away with it the weekend before.
That'll be a good opportunity to be forgiven for whatever it is.
That'll be a good opportunity for a swift death. You're right. Yeah,
yeah, Saturday the 29th then.
Yeah.
Saturday the 29th. And what we normally do is set up at 9:30 to litter pick between 10 and 12. And it seems to work perfectly for us, unless anybody's got any better ideas.
No,
will you be sending out emails for that, just as like where to meet and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
I'll just simply tell the Wellie Wombles they'll be there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'll be awesome. I'll do one of our lovely posters, bash it around everywhere, and then as usual we'll go around with our camera and take pictures of lovely families and everybody joining in, and some of the rare sights. Suzanne will turn up and pick up a trolley from somewhere. She always does.
I like my trolleys.
You do like your trolleys, yeah.
Try Castle
Especially if they work.
Try Castlefields.
Well, there you go. Perhaps that's another. I don't think
we've
done that one yet, have we?
That's about 20 down there by now.
And that does tie in with the Great British Spring Clean.
It does.
Yeah.
So
that's
Sophie's
good.
been waylaid somewhere else. There we go. Are you? What? Oh, I don't know. What is this? Anyway, whatever. The committee, is that? Does it tie in with the what dates are the spring clean? Sorry, I'm dinging and pinging and everything here. Lots of stuff.
What the British Spring Clean I just mentioned.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, 28th of May to the 13th of June.
28th of May.
Yeah. To the 13th of June.
So do we have to sort of log our litter pick with them to be part of that or something?
I think you can put something on their website, yeah, because I think you can search for events in your area.
Oh, right.
So we could probably put something on there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, have we got to try and keep it down to 30 people though? That's the only possible problem if we, you know, if there's
I guess so.
And the usual people, you know, it might.
I think we'll probably get away with it. Could we all say hello to Sophie, who's actually stopped being waylaid and she's joined us?
Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
All right, guys.
This is impressive, isn't it? This is what, 12 people on here? Wow, good.
12.
How many?
12.
Yeah, there's two sets of two, isn't there? Am I not adding up properly? I am right. Yeah, 2 sets of 2. Yeah, Becky really is Liz, I think, who like is fallen asleep or something as well. And you've got John and Trish as the Gileads, which am I saying that right?
Liz is still
No,
here.
no, it's the Gileads.
Gileads, there you go.
Gileads, yeah, Gileads.
There you go.
Sorry.
Trust me to get it wrong.
No.
So yeah, Sophie, would you do you want to introduce yourself? I don't think I gave Suzanne that chance actually, but would you both like to introduce yourselves just so we can move on to the committee roles? Because that's a perfect time to do it.
Not really, but
Fair enough. Well, go on then, since you're desperate to, obviously. No, you're not, are you at all?
no.
Okay.
I'm Sophie. There we go.
Okay. Is that all I'm getting from you as well, Suzanne?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, okay. Well, moving on from that, we've got a little bit about the committee and about who does what. So I think I've sort of said what I do, which is the secretary. Simon said he's the treasurer.
Not touched any money yet.
I don't know, you managed that, mate. But there we go. We'll hopefully touch some money on Friday. Where am I looking at now? Judy, what do you do, Judy?
Membership secretary, and we've got 23 members at the moment.
Good.
A couple of new ones just in the last week or so. And Tricia, you were one of them, weren't you? And we had someone else whose name I cannot remember at the moment. But anyway, so it's sort of just gradually, you know, sort of very slowly building up.
Good.
And I don't know, Jonathan will probably know how many members there actually are in the entire, you know, Facebook group for the.
Oh, million.
But yeah, there's a lot, aren't there? But
Everybody just clicks like or join or whatever.
Only 20
do anything with it ever again.
Negative, so negative. For your information, Simon, we've probably got 71 on Nextdoor. I think it's 639 on the sort of the eco group. Freddie said there's 399 Wombles, so we've probably got 400 by now. There's a similar amount on the swap shop. We've got about 200 on the repair club, and I think it's 60 of the community allotment, and there's about the same as well of the Wellie Acorns. So that sounds like an awful lot of people to me, and I know for a fact that not every Womble is in the eco group, and not every swap shop person is in the Wombles and vice versa. So the reason why we've got a few different strands to our bow is to just try and get everybody kind of involved in different things. It does make our super social media, what do you call yourself, Sophie? Come on, I'm determined to get it out of you. Social media what?
Oh, I can't remember. So Overlord.
Overlord, that's it. Social media overlord.
Yeah.
Guru, yeah, she could be that as well. Yeah, a social media overlord's job, quite, and she does an amazing job with that.
Social media is scary as it is.
Well, you could look at us having over 1,000 members in total, because I think there is a bit of an overlap.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to say any more on that, Sophie, so I won't ask. Julian,
I
would
don't
you
think
like...
there's anything else to say though.
Okay. Julian, your role of business secretary.
I do nothing. I'd like to do something, but yeah, but you know, I don't know
what
what
to work on that, don't we?
Yeah. So ideally, like we said earlier, we need to go for a pint, and I need to bring my laptop, and you need to tell me all the contacts that you know, and I'll start to contact people. The issue is obviously, having moved here and lived here for all of 3 months before a worldwide pandemic hit, means I didn't really get the chance to meet anyone apart from you, as lovely as you are. So I'd like to, obviously be able to reach out to more people and more organizations and stuff.
But that's something else that we could do. Last time I went for a pint with Julian, I ended up walking home, and I can't remember at all how I got home, because we went into the pub the last night before they closed down for the last lockdown, didn't we? So they're selling all the beer quite cheap. And it's an amazing thing when you press a button on your phone and a pint appears on your table. It's just wow. Anyway, there you go.
It was like, I think it was like 50p ales or something.
It's something ridiculous, wasn't it? I must have spent a tenner. I haven't done that since I was a teenager, and I literally, all I can do is remember bashing into walls on the way home. But anyway, you don't need to know that.
Do you want to say something?
Suzanne. Oh, sorry, you were going to say something there. Who said they were going to say something? Go on, Suzanne, go on. You're a committee member with no responsibility apart from hedgehogs.
That's the way she wants to keep it.
I would like to think of you as a natural and nature committee member.
Yeah.
I think you stopped yourself there, didn't you?
I don't know where this conversation's going. But I think you're moving on swiftly, because obviously you've got yourself a trench there. We do have, anybody can join our committee. We just need somebody to nominate them and somebody to second them, then everybody to stick their hand up and say yay or nay, basically. I've got somebody to nominate, and I'm not sure if he's fallen asleep reading his diary in the top corner there, but there he is. I would like to nominate Mr. Freddie Harris to join our committee as a litter secretary. Is that the right word? Is that what you'd like to be called? Litter overlord, Chief Womble.
Uncle Bulgaria.
Uncle Bulgaria, perhaps.
I think that's been anyway, litter secretary. We'll call it litter secretary now until we got sort of carried away. You need something for your paperwork, Freddie, an official title.
Right, okay.
I've proposed you. Judy seconded you. Would anybody like to vote yay or nay? Should we take the yays first?
Yay!
I can see everybody's hands apart from Sophie. I think that's just a bit mean. Oh, there
I said yay.
Oh, that's enough. So can I sort of confirm that we've now elected Freddie as our litter secretary?
Lord. Yep.
Next thumbs up from Becky and Liz. Love it. Okay. And there's even a hand.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope I can live up to it.
Well, you certainly have already, mate. Now, obviously, we've got a few new faces here as well, and I'm not going to press gang you into being on the committee, because you may just be sort of here for the ride, because it's a completely open meeting. But I know that if you did want to join the committee, you would be most welcome. So I don't know what your sort of thoughts are on that, Becky, Liz, John and Tricia and Anthony. I know Anthony's quite busy with a few other things.
I don't think we're ready to join on a committee or anything at the moment. And also, we're going to have to leave now, I'm sorry.
What? I mentioned that and you're off. That was good timing, that. I like that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that, but it's been really
good
meeting everybody today and listening to everybody, and I hope we'll be able to meet face to face soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have one of these in person, which should be good.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, John and
Right,
Tricia.
you then, take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, you're all in big again. There you go.
Yeah.
Is that my mouse, or have I got? Oh, my mouse has turned into a hand, and it was right on Becky's face. That was quite exciting. I was just wondering. There was this hand sort of up on Becky and Liz, and I'm saying you can put your hands down now, but obviously it was my mouse. I've never seen it as a hand, but there we go.
Yeah.
You've only just moved to the area, Becky and Liz. I know that, so you're kind of settling down and sort of getting into your jobs and stuff. But perhaps at some stage we can have a chat about that in person, or if you'd like to sort of say this is something you'd like to do.
Sure. I've no idea about being on a committee. That sounds very adult to me, and I'm not quite ready to grow up. But in terms of the Eco Fest,
yeah,
sounds like me.
Yeah, in terms of Eco Fest, I'd be quite keen to help out with that because my background is in live events. So
okay, cool.
If I can help out in any way with that, I'd be keen to get involved.
Becky has mentioned a few times something that I think we talked about, sort of, we've all sort of talked about this on the WhatsApp group and stuff. I don't know, a couple of people obviously weren't on that, but should we talk about the Eco Fest now then, since you've mentioned it at least twice?
Yes, we also have to leave quite soon.
Okay, well, we better get it out now then. Moving forward in person with events and social media, something that we were considering as a thing was to have like an eco day, be it at Glamis Hall or the Victoria Centre, with our repair club or repair cafe, depending on which venue it is, the swap shop, an open day for the Wombles, Freddie, so they can come and get a cup of tea and then sort of meet other people within the group.
Yeah.
And also sort of for the Wellie Acorns, but also for other groups and like-minded sort of charities to sort of join us with stalls or whatever. So we can have a bit of an environmentally friendly focus sort of afternoon. But I know Becky was very interested and Judy's waving at me. So yes, Judy.
I just wondered, are we talking about the same thing that we were talking about with One Wellingborough Plus? Is this the same event or is this a different event?
It's a different event, Judy.
Right,
you can tell everybody what we were talking about with that if you like, but that was a different thing. That
yeah,
was
it just sounded very similar.
Yeah, no, it can get confusing. Yeah, for everybody's mental health, what we were talking about was a services providers event. I think we were calling it Connecting Communities Day, weren't we?
Yes, but I mean, some of those might be interested in coming to the Eco Fest as well, mightn't they? But
absolutely,
yeah.
That particular event, I think we were looking at holding in the centre of town, possibly in the market.
Yeah,
that we then strayed on to having it at Tithe Barn. This one, I think we probably don't need to hold it in the centre of town. It'd be nice at one of the community centres that we're a partner with. Possibly at the Victoria Centre, since I might actually end up with keys to that centre over the next week or so. And whether it's in the car park or actually within one of the halls or both, I think that'd be quite a nice thing. One, to pay back the centres that we're supporting, but two, to try and get other people sort of talking to each other, because we all need to get out and talk to each other rather than sort of doing this Zoom thing. Is it? I know Becky's up for that, and I know Liz is up for that because we've talked about it, and I think we've talked about it too, Judy. Does everybody think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
I'm up for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up for anything.
I want to get out.
Oh, okay. I'll see you at the community allotment at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning then, Tom.
Well, I mean, he's round the corner from work, so if I wake up early
You could
enough,
just
you
about
might.
make it then.
I'll come up for 15 minutes.
Actually, you met me there at about 6 o'clock, 7:30, whatever it was. So yeah. So what we need to do then, and I think Becky's just stuck her hand up to sort of be one of the leads on this. I don't know if Liz is keeping quiet, which she does tend to. Possibly we could have some sort of working party set up on that. Can we do that as a whole committee, or is that something we want to have as like a separate little bit on the side? Don't look at me at once. And also Anthony as well, just explain where Anthony's coming from, because I keep on sort of missing this point. Like your Extinction Rebellion group could be part of that as well. You mean like the different? Yeah, are you on mute, Anthony?
No.
So I saw your lips move, but I didn't hear your voice.
He did say no.
He didn't say no.
He did. He did. I heard him.
We'd be very interested in getting involved. Yeah.
Oh, you would? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think everybody heard something different there. Probably my voice talking over it. So yeah, that'd be a really nice sort of colourful event, and I think that'd be a really good thing for everybody to get. Did we agree to have it as a whole committee thing, or an open meeting like this, or as a separate sort of sub meeting with everybody?
I think you want a subcommittee, really, don't you, to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You want to keep on the subject, don't you? So,
Yeah, we might all be on it, but as a separate meeting, definitely.
I'm not talking about thinking about sort of going into it in great depth tonight, but okay. So if everybody who's interested could perhaps send me a message, I've noted your interest already, Becky, obviously, and then we can talk about possible dates, and then I can possibly develop a day for it at sort of one of the community centres that I'm involved with. Happy with that, everybody?
Yeah.
Jumped off the agenda again, but we're like that, don't we? Okay. That brings us down to partnerships. I think we've probably done this already, but there is another partnership that I haven't listed on there, which I kind of dipped into a second ago. Glamis Hall, for those that don't know, where we hold our a few of our bits, but mainly our repair cafe. Victoria Centre is where I'm doing a few hours a week, and we've been doing most of the One Wellingborough stuff. At Wellingborough Library, I know they're quite keen to get in with a few of our events. They're being very supportive with the Wellie Wombles. Another one that isn't on there is a charity called Sofa Wise, and I haven't put this on the agenda because did anybody say something? No.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It was me.
That's right, mate. Sofa Wise is a long-established charity in the town that used to take people's sofas, obviously with their permission, and give them to. They weren't sitting on them watching these.
Oh, those marching to people's houses and.
Wasn't quite Robin Hood. Basically, they used to have a warehouse in the town where they used to sort of donate sort of excess furniture to other families in need, and then also sell it to other people at a very reasonable price. They found themselves homeless at the start of the charity, and although they are still an actual charity, they're pretty much sort of just the shell rather than the actual charity. And they are hoping to sort of, for us to join forces with them a little bit and restart Sofa Wise in a way. And what a few of us have been talking about on our WhatsApp chat room is the potential of having a reuse shop. I think Sophie started that one off with the paint thing. We talked about paint earlier in the shed.
I'm not in this WhatsApp group.
I'm not either.
This is not acceptable.
Because I'm saying
One Wellingborough Plus WhatsApp, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, no, I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused with my WhatsApp group and my Messenger. I can guarantee you two are in the WhatsApp, in the Messenger group.
Yeah, not the WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Not
sorry,
WhatsApp.
that's me getting me apps mixed up.
A bit frustrated there. Not in it.
You didn't want to miss out there, Soph, did you?
No. So is there a messenger group for the Wellingborough Eco then, Jonathan?
There is, and I will add you to it.
You used to get Messenger. You talking about the Slack group or something else?
It's Facebook Messenger. The only reason why you're not on it, Julian, is because you don't do Facebook.
Use Facebook for that. Fair enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what happened to Slack? Are we still using Slack, or is that out the window?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of worked, but then everybody started using the Messenger instead. And I must admit, what I tend to do for you, Julian, is copy the messages to you if they're kind of like the big messages rather than just, I don't know.
Messenger is definitely the most popular platform to go into, definitely.
Yeah. Is that you, Liz? I can't tell whose arm that is.
Yeah, that's my arm.
That's your
we're
arm.
going to have to love you and leave you all. It's been very nice to meet you, but we're really going to have to go now.
You can't tell me you're going for your dinner because I've seen you have it already.
Yeah, I've got to be up at 5, so I've got to get going.
Yeah,
so is Liz. She's joining me at the allotment tomorrow morning.
I'm going to kick her out first thing.
Good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
See ya. So, there we go. Right. So, the question I've got to ask for everybody, and the reason why it wasn't on the agenda, is that it's kind of a thing that we need to talk about together rather than sort of share across all our social media platforms. If somebody watches this on our YouTube channel, fair enough. Do we, 1, want a reuse shop? Do we, 2, want to get in bed with an existing charity to facilitate that?
Has somebody got to manage that?
Well, yeah, but they do have some pennies to do this. They say they've got some money to start it off, and they've got enough money for a van, which they'll obviously need for their sofas and stuff.
Right. So, I mean, I don't, forgive me for my ignorance, I can't see what they want to be involved with us, or vice versa. If they've got the van and some money, well, they don't just get them.
They just want extra publicity.
Yeah, the thing that we've got is people, and the thing that they've got is some money to do it and the experience. Right. So potentially what I'm saying to the sort of however many people we've got left here is that, is it something that you'd be interested doing? Because I'm certainly not going to do that on my own.
No, it's too much for me, mate. Definitely.
I think it's a great idea and a massive opportunity. We could do something on a smaller scale at one of the community centres potentially. But is it something?
I think it sounds like a brilliant idea. If you know, it needs to be talked through a bit more, though. I think, you know, as to exactly what we're going to be doing.
What exactly is a reuse shop?
I mean, is it not really just? Isn't a reuse shop basically like a charity shop? But I mean, we really want it to be more than that, don't we?
Well, you posted something earlier and sent me a message about a climate emergency shop.
I did, and that is something that I think would just be amazing, just to have a centre that was called the Climate Emergency Centre, because I think that would really get the message out, and it could encompass lots of different things. Reuse of clothes, you know, so you're sort of targeting fashion and food, you know, like a zero waste shop, and also all sorts of community events, you know, teaching people to, you know, well, a bit like U3A groups, you know, where you sort of, some people can teach their skills, pass skills on, and all different things like that. But it is a bit of it's a sort of a big idea, you know, it's it needs a whole lot more kind of thinking, I think, first.
It is potentially a big idea, and I'm not suggesting for a minute that we suddenly decide to take on a unit in the town and call it Wellingborough Eco Group, or even Extinction Rebellion, whatever it is, climate emergency shop. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a massive thing to sort of do. We like a few of you know that we did have a shop, me and Emma, and we had it for about 3 years, I think, whatever it was. It's a big thing to do. It's your life. Do you know what I mean? Basically.
Well, we could start something with, like, from the events that we're hoping to put on. That could be sort of like the core of an idea that could then sort of perhaps be expanded, you know, into doing it more regularly somewhere, to become a climate emergency centre, or, you know, I don't know. Could
it be more like, instead of having like a set shop, have like pop-up events at like the various schools and centres we have.
I'm not even going to say what I've just heard.
So pop-up climate emergency centres, would be
something like that. So it's not just like a set thing, it's just every now and like once a month or whatever. They pop up, and we could do skill shares and stuff like that.
Or it could start off as a pop-up climate emergency stall or something. places.
Yeah, like markets and stuff like that.
It'd eventually find a home and become a climate emergency centre. But
yeah,
you know, I don't know. It's sort of.
Is that what's it got to do with sofas?
Oh well, sofas is part of the reuse part of it, I suppose. But yeah,
the charity's called Sofa
it
Wise.
has kind of moved on a bit from the just being sofas, yeah.
Fair enough.
It was a remarkable coincidence that Judy shared a link and a post today about a climate emergency shop when we were going to be talking about sort of a potential partnership, almost doing a similar sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I was just sort of like, well, I'll save that surprise till later.
The only thing I want to say about this Sofa Wise business is that they need to manage it. You know, if they want to do it, then they can use the group's, us, Eco's good name and all the rest of it and contacts, but somebody from their organisation would have to manage it.
Yeah, well,
it's their group, they can manage it.
How that worked was, I think they had a couple of paid people, and then the rest was with volunteers. Now, obviously, there may be one or two people here who wouldn't mind volunteering a bit of their time in their shop, but there doesn't seem to be a massive sort of appetite between what is there, 8 of us left, to suddenly sort of spend half our life down.
No way.
There's enough charity shops.
There's loads of charity shops about anyway, isn't
there? I heard your good wife again, Freddie, there, sort of, and you said exactly the same thing straight after.
I said I have to do what you have to say. What you think.
The town is full of charity shops.
The town is full of charity shops, definitely. Yeah, that's true enough to say.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So that's all I would say is if they want to use our contacts and our name and all the rest of it, then they have got to provide the people to run it.
Oh, well, I'm going to be party to their accounts over the next couple of days because I wanted to know more about it, and she's sort of gone mad on it, I think. But there we go. So perhaps I may share that with our, I'll get the word right, messenger group. And Julian, of course, and we can have a sleep on that, but it sounds like that's not going to be a goer. Okay.
No, I agree. All right, mate.
So money, I think we've talked about because we did that before. We still have the 1,500 quid in the bank from One Wellingborough Plus. So with our 2.5, that will take us to about 4 grand. But don't forget, the 1.5 is kind of earmarked. And to be honest with you, we've sort of spent some of it already. We just haven't taken it out of the bank account. The other thing that we can do with our money is obviously buy litter picking equipment, which would be rather handy, particularly with group litter picks restarting.
Yeah. And
something that I've talked to Freddie about is getting some high-vis jackets.
Yeah.
With like Wellie Wombles on, Wellingborough Eco Group, probably both. I've actually got some quotes for that. I've got a local company that will do a high-vis jacket for £3 plus VAT with Wellingborough Eco Group or whatever written on the back. And if you want 2 things on there, it'll be £4 plus VAT.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
It's not too bad, is it? Obviously, if you're talking sort of, yeah, it is good because I think when we did it, Sophie, with the other ones, I think we paid about 3.5 quid with nothing on them, didn't we? It was
literally just for the jackets, yeah.
Yeah,
I think the Find crowd are paying a fiver, I think.
Yeah, so obviously £4 plus VAT is about a fiver.
It's going to be a fiver, yeah.
So
I think a lot of people are prepared to spend that, to be honest with you.
I'd say so. So what do we want to put on the back of these jackets? Because everybody's agreed to say it's a good idea. Do we, like my suggestion, I'll just sort of stick my hand up first, is the bottom bit says Wellingborough Eco Group on all of them.
Yeah.
And then the top bit, i.e. the bit that everybody sees first, would say Wellie Wombles for like the Wombles. It would say Repair Club for the repairers. It would say Swap Shop for our swap shop when we do it. Obviously, we probably only need a handful of swap shop ones and repair club ones. It could just say litter picking on the back. I think we've got some already with the XR logo on, so we don't need to do that again, obviously. For people who support both, we can have that.
So are you suggesting you'd have some for each group? Is that what you just said?
Essentially, yeah. So if we had this day, there would be a commonality of them all saying Wellingborough Eco Group on there, but there would be a bit of fun, if you like, people from the different parts of it. Say that, I don't know, somebody who's running the Acorns shop stall, if we had one, would have their Wellie Acorns one on, and it would just be quite a nice thing that people would sort of see all this stuff going on. Yeah. And even on the litter picks, to be fair, if we walked around with a repair club one on a litter pick, it just might get people thinking, hold on, repair club, what are they doing there? They might then start asking about the other things we do. Is everybody agreed with that, or does that just sound like Jonathan's going mad as usual?
In my mind's eye, I would have thought that certainly for the Wombles, people would be wanting to buy one that says Wellie Wombles on it, really.
Yeah.
That's it, all about it. You just need to get some handle on how many you might need, I guess.
Well, I was thinking 50 in total to start us off. Yeah. Probably 30 of them, at least, with the Wombles on it. Do you know what I mean?
And how do you feel about selling good quality pickers now at cost then?
I don't mind at all, Fred, because like I say, I have got a contact at the council that apparently can do them cheaper. I just haven't got round to email it. I've had telephone conversations with this woman, but apparently she's the one to speak to, but she's never told me about these cheap litter pickers that everybody can get. But I can get cheaper litter pickers.
I understand that the catering crowd are getting them about $7.99, but I don't know what quality they are.
Yeah, well, we're getting ones at £3 each, and you know that I'll go down to B&M, buy them for £3, and sell them for £3. Do you know what I mean?
But they really,
they aren't great.
They're really lightweight stuff in there. They're not the proper ones. Are the ones we originally got from Norse. Yeah. Which have got that's what I would say. That's what we need.
If they're buying them for £7 from whoever it is, those particular ones, I'd be amazed because they're about 20-25 quid.
Yeah, I know. $7.99. Well, Georgina's telling me $7.99. I don't know where she's heard that from.
No, from Catering Wombles.
Oh, from Catering Wombles, $7.99, and they buy it through their council apparently.
Yeah, well, we're all part of the same council now, so we should be able to get the same thing.
So in theory, I don't know whether we can speak to.
We have a contact.
I don't know. I have no idea who we'd speak to be honest with you, to actually find the source.
You'd be glad to know I know the people who run Kettering Wombles really well, so I can do that. But I also know I've also spoken to the people that we possibly are getting our Ivy's vests from, and they've had a conversation with various different groups.
Yes.
And that's the woman that they've suggested is the woman that I have been talking about. All that fuss that we did about sort of complying with different rules. The lady that told us not to put the litter bags by bins.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's her, basically.
Yeah.
So I just need to try and email her and then probably end up calling her to try and tie her down to see what we can get.
Okay, that's smashing.
What about the Junior Wombles?
Junior Wombles? What about
vests?
Oh, Junior Womble vests.
Are we going to call them Junior Wombles, or are we going to call them Wellie Acorns?
Well, it'd be nice if I could be called a Junior Womble.
I'm going to move on from that. Anthony had his hand up there. If you, I'm not
I
sure.
don't know what to say, really, mate. It's one of those situations. You can go miles. I don't
exactly.
know.
I quite like the fact that why I called why I thought and proposed to like the messenger group Wellie Acorns is because it fitted quite nicely in with the Wellie Wombles.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's almost the same thing, but it is different enough for them to go, oh, they're different. What's that about?
Yeah.
Anthony, you had your hand up a little while ago.
Yeah, I've got to go now, but just quickly, why can't we put the bags by the bins? Because that's what I always do.
Because according to Tracy Montgomery, with the lady we've just been speaking to, is East Northants person. It could be put down as fly tipping, and it also encourages other people to add to those bags if it's put by a bin. It is pretty much nonsensical, but we are kind of, what we do as a group is try not to upset people who we're trying to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to toe the line. If they don't want us to do it there, we can't.
Yeah. For such a small thing, I just think it's not really worth creating a fuss. The fact is that Norse have told us to do that for 2 months, didn't they, Freddie, to put them by the bins?
They did to start with, yeah.
Yeah, and then somebody comes along and tells us not to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-blowing, but it's such a detail that it's just, well, I don't think Norse are worried about it, mate. If you want to stick them by a bin, stick them by a bin. But
I mean,
the official advice is to put them on a verge or at the back of a wide footpath.
Yeah.
Right.
With the 3 words.
Okay.
And to use what 3 words as well if possible. So the location.
Yeah, I know probably that isn't. I don't know. You're not on a smartphone, are you, Anthony? I don't think.
Yeah, I've got a smartphone. Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go now. Yeah. Thanks
okay, then, mate.
Everybody. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Anthony. See you soon.
Bye. Is it just me and you now then?
It could just be me and you. Yeah, we've still a few people here. Like Sophie's only just turned up, to be fair. But sorry, Sophie, I'll pick on you again. The only other things we've got on here are initiatives like the Community Resilience Forum that Judy's been on, and a few of us have actually dipped in. I know Suzanne joined the first one. Is that something we want to officially support as a group and continue? Because
I don't understand what it is, man. I'm sorry.
Well, by association, we've been supporting this thing because it was a One Wellingborough Plus project. The One Wellingborough Plus project has now come to an end, and basically it's a selection of groups and people that are trying to build a more resilient community in Wellingborough by sharing sort of activities and things. I think it's a positive thing to be on. Judy sort of was talking about the event that we were talking about earlier, about groups sharing what they do and different volunteering opportunities. Do you think it's something that we need to carry on supporting as a group, Judy, or just as individuals?
Well, I suppose the idea of it is bringing groups together, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, you know, because we want to be known as widely as possible, you know, as the eco group and as all our different sections. I mean, it would be good to sort of, you know, keep in with them, really, wouldn't it? Why not? Yeah.
Definitely. I just let you know, I was the chair, and I have been sort of like co-host for the previous 3 as well. So it's something that we've been doing from the Victoria Centre as this project, and we were one of the partners of that project. Okay, so
with this event, for example, they're going to or we're going to you know, put on for the different organisations. I mean, we might as well be part of that, mightn't we?
The only reason why I'm sort of bringing it up really is that I'm mindful that we do quite a lot, and we do spread ourselves quite thinly, but we are sort of doing it for the benefit of the town anyway. So this is for the benefit of the town, and I think a more resilient town is also a cleaner, sort of more environmentally friendly town, isn't it? If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Got nothing to lose, really.
No. Okay, good. Another thing we were looking at was setting up a time bank or some sort of food share system. Is that something we want to start? Because we could actually have our own time bank. Imagine like Wombles going out and getting rewarded for spending an hour's worth of litter picking. They get something called a time credit, but if they save up enough of them, they can go on, I don't know, trips to the theatre or get a discount at Pizza Hut or perhaps a shopping voucher. but it does cost money. Is that something that you think that we either want to be part of or set up as a group, bearing in mind we've got quite a few different bits going on?
Well, I wouldn't have thought volunteer Womblers would want any incentive to do that.
No.
You know, when they are volunteers, if they didn't want to volunteer, they just wouldn't turn up, would they?
Well, that I don't know if you sort of agree with that, Judy. Actually, that's kind of the sort of conclusion we came to at one of the meetings. But
there's just no need for it, really. I mean, people want to be public service. They want to do public service, don't they? You don't have to encourage them.
No, it seemed when we were first talking about it, it did seem like a really good idea, the time bank idea. But the more I think it through, it just doesn't really seem necessary. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's I mean,
it's something else you're going to have to manage. Yeah.
If somewhere is looking for volunteers, for example, some organisations want volunteers, don't they? Like St Andrew's Hospital and different places like that. It might work for an organisation like that, I think. But you know, when we've got all these willing volunteers anyway, and they seem to be enjoying what they're doing, it just seems a bit superfluous, doesn't it?
It's unnecessary. It's a cost as well. It costs about 20p for every one of these credits, so that money has to come from somewhere.
And also, someone has to administer it.
Yeah,
someone's got to administer as well. That's right.
I think it's the sort of thing that works where you want sort of people to sort of do each other sort of favours. You know, where people have got various skills and things, but yeah, it gets complicated.
Yeah. The food share. Sorry, Simon. Go on. You were saying.
Yeah, it's just doing something public. Then yeah, we're already doing that anyway, like you say.
The food share scheme that was proposed by Marion is a very similar idea. I'll use the Wombles as another example. Is that like they basically get vouchers to come and share at like a food bank almost. Do you know what I mean? So if they have a couple of vouchers, whatever, they can have a carrier bag full of food that's been donated or as part of the fair share scheme.
I really don't understand what you mean. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm only using the Wombles because obviously that is like quite a big volunteer thing. It's basic. The Victoria Centre signs up to something, as does Glamis Hall, as does a few others, something called fair share. They pay a few, like it isn't a lot of money for what they get. And then they get sort of overstocks from supermarkets and sometimes close dated stuff.
Yeah.
And then obviously that was great during the pandemic because they used it for One Wellingborough and a bit for One Wellingborough Plus by supporting people who are in need. But obviously both of those projects are finished. So they were thinking of using their fair share account still, but having it a bit like a time bank, like we've just said, but using food instead of like voucher, instead of time credits. It's an idea that I'm floating. I'm imagining that because you've just said.
I'll explain it to you.
Georgina's going to explain it to you. So I don't know. I don't understand what you're on about. But Georgina will explain it to you.
It's a time bank with food.
It's going to be a bedtime story.
It really needs to be still supporting people who are in need, in my opinion, you know, rather than sort of being used as payment for people who are volunteering, you know, when they're volunteering anyway. It doesn't seem to me to work for what we want it to do.
Food bank.
It just wants to go to the food bank, surely, doesn't it? If somebody's got excess food, they would just send it into a food bank somewhere. Yeah. And that's it, all about it, isn't it?
Well, the other thing that I would suggest doing with it, and I know I'm kind of adding things to this agenda, but this is only a quick one, is about having a community cafe or a shop zero like they had in Northampton and Kettering, where people can actually come along and buy a box of shopping for a few pence. Do you know what I mean? If it's close dated stuff, or with, I've forgotten the name of it, they had a cafe doing the same sort of thing, preparing food from this food to actually sell in a cafe at a really reasonable price for volunteers or anybody. Do you know what I mean? Anybody.
There was project in Ruston.
Like Elsie's, yeah.
Elsie's, that's the one.
Well, I think Elsie's is now gone. It's defunct now, isn't it? Packed up, isn't it?
They've lost the premises that they were in, I think.
Have they? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that worked very well. I thought it worked very well.
They're part of the Revolution Zero thing.
It worked very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I say, go on, Judy.
All along the same lines as the reuse shop, isn't it? You know, all those sort of things could sort of go together, really, couldn't they?
Well, if I had my way, I'd open a community cafe at the Victoria Centre. There's a cafe in there, basically. It just needs like people to run it.
Yeah.
Because I think you could do so much more in there, and if you can use this sort of food up, great.
It's like there was a project in Russia that raised money for 1 year, and it was to sort of keep kids off the street. It was run by somebody who worked for the police, and they would do breakfast for children because they'd literally go to the supermarkets just before the stroke of midnight and get stuff for pennies, and then they would be able to give the kids breakfast the next day for like 50p.
Okay.
So
exactly.
Sort of, it doesn't cost them much to run, but you know, it gave kids that wouldn't otherwise have a breakfast and somewhere to go.
Don't schools do that sort of thing anyway, don't they? Don't schools give kids breakfast?
Some do. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay for them, don't you?
You have to have school meals vouchers, which means you have to earn below a certain amount, which still means that some people who can't afford their rent sort of have hungry children.
Where, you know, like it goes out of date today, so Tesco's are flogging it for 5p a pack of bacon, but it's still okay to cook it tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, and then that's how they were doing it. They were literally going to the supermarket each night just before sort of 11 o'clock at night, when stuff was practically being given away. You know, you're paying token pennies for it, and then they could do a breakfast next morning for kids at, you know, very, very little cost.
I know Sky from Morrison's was because I bought at one of the last community allotment working parties, I bought some tins of pop from Aldi's when I shopped for my oldies, and she was like, "Oh, I could give those to you. I'm always trying to give away things like that." And I'm like, "Well, give them to us then." Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I going to part of buy for drinks when you're telling me you can give them to me? You see me like every week at the shop.
Like that for 19p at the co-op.
Yeah, I quite often buy bread for about 5p.
You know, the bun next to it was 20p. It was that big.
Anyway, so is everybody liking the idea of a community cafe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would it be like the Good Place in Barton?
Well, that was run in the Methodist Church, wasn't it, before lockdown?
No, it still runs. It runs every week.
That's the food for free stall does in front of the library.
It's called the Good Plate though.
But it's not a cafe anymore, is it though?
Not at the moment.
No. But I've been there, and I think that's a really good idea. And I was talking to Jonathan about that as well. You know, and that's a sort of another way that perhaps it could start. You know, rather than actually a cafe. Yeah.
But the point of this community.
The only thing I can say about short-dated and out-of-date stock is that Elsie's was actually taken to court over that sort of selling.
Can't see you.
But that's why they had to go to donations.
Yes, that's what Shop Zero have done, is that you pay a donation, a set donation of a couple of quid for a box of this stuff that the supermarkets are basically chucking away.
But somebody would have to go and collect that. That takes quite a lot of time to go round to the supermarkets to pick those up. I know someone that was involved with it, and it is quite a task. So you need another team of people to do that, I think.
Oh, hang on.
We can only do these things if we've got enough volunteers, you know, to get.
But it is an excellent idea.
The point of doing this is a bit like the Wellie Wombles, is that who know, like last year, that Wellie Wombles, that anybody would volunteer themselves to go litter picking and post a photo of them litter picking what they've picked in a group.
That's quite right. But Wellie Wombles, they go as and when. This is a commitment.
Yeah, that's true enough. There's a big difference,
Yeah, that's true.
But
that is true.
rather than go gun ho with it and open a cafe as well, why don't you just do a shop that sell these things very cheaply, or donate rather than go down the cafe side? That could come later.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
If the cafe effectively exists physically, it just needs manning.
Yeah, the facility is there. That's why I'm suggesting it. And it also does something that's probably close to all of our hearts. It saves a lot of food from going in the bin, because that's a massive thing to sort of address.
Yeah.
And it's just something that we may or may not support as a group. And it'd just be, I don't know, is it worth sort of thinking about that idea as a group, or just leaving it to the Victoria Centre to do, which again could be something that we could do. You know what I mean? Don't know.
It's certainly worth thinking about, isn't it? And even if we did the just the food rather than the cafe to start with, and then
I quite agree with you, Judy. There, just start off small.
Yeah.
And then once you get people coming in on a regular basis, they might start volunteering.
Yeah, fine.
That's why
a lot of the stuff that you haven't given to you is like cooking ingredients, which you need to cook to be able to sell in your cafe. So that's all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right again. I am thinking of having these information days at the Victoria Centre and offering everybody a free cup of tea or coffee.
Ooh.
So you might go, oh, but you never know. It just might get people walking past go, actually, I fancy a free cup of tea or coffee. And as long as they've got like a reusable cup, or we could sell it. I'm talking Victoria Centre stuff rather than necessarily eco group stuff.
Well, I'll volunteer to come and make cups of tea for people on that day that you're organising. but you know, see how it goes, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's
I mean,
going to be
something, you know, we said about the pop-up thing before.
Yeah.
Not run in conjunction with the pop-up thing. So we could have like a pop-up, whatever, like eco thing.
Yeah.
And part of
Eco
that could
Fest
be,
or whatever it is, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The lady from Elsie's, I can't remember her name, but when I approached her about doing one of these shops in Wellingborough, because I said I thought there was a need, she said I needed to find the premises, which you've got now, the Victoria Centre, but she said you do need somebody that's going to organise it. So I'm sure.
Is that Sarah Jones? Is that Sarah Jones from Fruitful Abundance?
It's not. I can't remember her name. It'll
Lorna?
come to me.
Lorna.
No, that's Lorna from the Good Plate.
Oh, right. Okay.
She's a Chinese or Filipino lady, isn't she?
Yeah.
No, this is her name might be Estelle or something like that. But she said she was willing to help set one up, but I wasn't willing to be in charge.
Yeah.
There is a lady called Sarah Jones from something called Fruitful Abundance in Northampton. I think I shared it with
It's the same. It's not her, but I think this lady's involved with that now that she's lost the premises for Elsie's.
Yeah, I think they were heavily involved with Elsie's, yeah. Anyway, shall we? We've been on this call for hours, and I think probably everybody's getting a bit tired.
Yeah.
Is there any other business that anybody would like to add? Has anybody got anything pressing to say, Simon? You're in that pose where you're sort of mate, you're going to say something.
No,
that's a slip under my desk.
What about you, Julian?
Is the next meeting going to be in a pub? Please, for the love of God.
Well, yeah, basically we can do that. In fact, the only other thing we can add to any other business is, do we want to start doing green drinks again and open that as an open sort of invitation to not just me and Julian, but everybody else to sort of join us?
Oh, I'm allowed to, am I?
Green.
Well, you weren't invited, but yes, you must. Definitely, Simon, yes. It was generally a handful of us, so I don't think we're breaking any COVID rules at the moment. But it could be something that grows. And of course, we did used to have our eco group XR meetings or whatever they were in the Queen's Head, didn't we? Every couple of weeks.
So the Queen's Head, I think, still Although I guess by the time the next one happens, it won't matter, will it? I was going to say their beer garden is not fully open or something, I think, right now. I'm not sure.
But the point being is that we can have meetings, or we can just have socials. Like, meetings are great, but sometimes it's just nice to blow off steam with a few sort of friendly faces. And that's the point of the green drinks thing.
Yeah,
I think that the format of like tonight's, for instance, works better in a pub where people can peel off and break into groups and stuff.
Yeah, because there are a lot of ideas that we've got, aren't there, that sort of need further discussion, and see who wants to get involved with them, and yeah, just generally sort of chatting about it all, really.
Yeah. So, Julian, are you proposing to have our next meeting in about a month's time? Because I don't know if we want to do this every 2 weeks like we used to, in a pub. And what pub are you proposing? I'm only picking on you because you suggested it.
Well, it depends if I don't know. I can't actually remember. Sorry, 1 second. Are we allowed to have? I don't think we can all be inside even after the 17th, because it's still only 2 households or something after the 17th until June. Yeah. So we'd have to be out. We'd have to be outside. Yep. So I know that the pub we went to last time, Jonathan, the what is it? That has a very large beer garden, but obviously it's weather is permitting.
I thought that was all indoors, that beer garden. It certainly was.
Where we were, it has a large under area as well. So if we book it ahead, we might be able to book an under cover area. Especially since after the 17th, they'll be allowing people indoors anyway, in families anyway.
Okay.
So perhaps that could be a good idea. The only thing is there's no children, so obviously, but he'll have to be somewhere else.
He looks like he wants to be somewhere else anyway.
In fact, Annette, can you grab him, please? Sorry, my wife's trying to study.
He's running away.
Well, I think we're nearly done. Like I say, I didn't think we'd be on the call till 22:03, but
yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea if we book the next one. I think we could even have it earlier than a month's time, perhaps, just for us to, since it's been so long.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
But where is that pub that you were talking about, Coach and Horses? Where is that?
It's near Morrison,
which is on Oxford Street. Is it Oxford Street?
Yeah. It's the one behind Morrison's, basically, behind Morrison's car park. So it's an easy one. They're nice people, and the beer's quite nice, particularly when it costs buttons. Because I found out it's my cost. But there we go.
The price might have gone up since then, but yeah.
Oh yeah, amazing. Anyway,
do you need booking or?
I think we should book it. Yeah. So I'm saying if we have some numbers, if we have an idea of who's going to be there, we can try and book an undercover area, especially if it's well ahead of time. We can try and book an area where if it does sprinkle a bit of rain, then at least we'll be a bit undercover, because they have a massive outside beer garden, obviously, but they have some of the tables undercover as well. If we book it ahead of time, we can probably get, like a 8 or 10 people undercover without any issue.
What I would like to do, I'm not being a child with toys in my pram, is have a social, because I think sometimes we can talk about sort of all this stuff too much and then have another meeting. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's something, like, there's no reason why at a social we can't talk about business stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's part
yeah,
of
that's fine. Then let's have a social, and then we can and then things that are raised there, we can then ring up in the next meeting officially if you want to.
Yeah.
If everybody's happy with that, I think that's the way to go, because like I say, I think, although this is great, and by the way, this is all on Zoom, I think that sometimes sort of that might also attract different people, because some people are put off by having a meeting, do you know what I mean? Whereas they might be happy enough to go out for a pint.
And sometimes you want to discuss a certain thing in more detail, and then it sort of goes on and on and on, doesn't it? And that's fine if you're just...
If you get them drunk first and agree to stuff.
I don't know what you just said. I'm sure it was great.
Have a few drinks. Anyway, agreeing with everything you want to do.
Thank you. So I think we've probably had our time, if you don't mind me saying, because I certainly am getting the old sleepy dust in my eyes. If anybody's got anything else to say, please don't hold your silence. Otherwise, I'd just like to say to everybody, thank you very much for all of your contributions tonight. I think it's been a really positive and useful meeting. And thank you, everybody, for all that you do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy.
Good night, then.
See you all soon. And in 2 weeks, we'll have a social in the pub, Julian. You'll be glad to know.
Perfect. Cheers all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.